Dear students, all is one, all is different. How many natures exist in man? How many vocations? And by what chance does each man ordinarily choose what he has heard praised? Today our topic is poem Vocation by Rabindranath Tagore, Class 6, English. Rabindranath Tagore was a poet, writer, composer, philosopher and painter from Bengal. He was a genius in more than one way. He established his school at Shantiniketan in 1901. He is best known for becoming, in 1913, the first non-European as well as the first lyricist to win the Nobel Prize in Literature. He is sometimes referred to as the Bard of Bengal. The poem Vocation is a narrative poem that persuades us to think about the state of mind of a child. Childhood is so ignorant of the hardships and the problems that the other people face in life. In this poem, a boy thinks about the different professions and gets attracted to them. He imagines all the fascinations and curiosities that they may have in their lives, but he is not aware of the problems and routine that they have to go through. Stanza 1. When the gong sounds 10 in the morning, and I walk to school by our lane, every day I meet the hawker crying, "Bangles, crystal bangles." There is nothing to hurry him on, there is no road he must take, no place he must go to, no time when he must come home. I wish I were a hawker, spending my day in the road, crying, "Bangles, crystal bangles." In this poem, the poet tells about a child who gets impressed with the different people and their independent way of life. He wishes to be like them and enjoy the freedom of choices, where there is no compulsion and boredom according to him. In the morning, the gong or bell rings and the boy goes to school. This is the picture of gong you can see here. On the way, he sees a vendor selling bangles and crying, "Bangles, precious stone bangles." The boy wishes to be a vendor like him and move freely anywhere without any restrictions or forceful instructions from elders who compel him to go to school. Now, stanza 2. When at 4 in the afternoon I come back from the school, I can see through the gate of that house the gardener digging the ground. He does what he likes with his spade. He soils his clothes with dust and nobody takes him to task. If he gets baked in the sun or gets wet, I wish I were a gardener digging away at the garden with nobody to stop me from digging. After coming from school at 4 in the afternoon, the child notices the gardener through the gate. The gardener is digging the ground and walking in the soil. The child gets impressed with the gardener's work as he is free to handle the spade. Spade means a tool that is used for gardening. Though gardener's clothes are covered with dust, yet nobody stops him doing his work. He too wants to play like him in the heat of the sun as well as in water. He wishes to be a gardener, as nobody would scold him if he plays in dust and gets wet in water. He is ignorant of the hardship that a gardener faces in his life. Stanza 3. Just as it gets dark in the evening and my mother sends me to bed, I can see through my open window the watchman walking up and down. The lane is dark and lonely, and the street lamp stands like a giant, with one red eye in its head. The watchman swings his lantern and walks with his shadow at his side, and never once goes to bed in his life. I wish I were a watchman walking the street all night, chasing the shadows with my lantern. In the evening, when the child's mother says him to go to bed, he observes a watchman moving from one side to the other through the window of his room. The road is dark and lonely. The lantern in his hand appears to be a red-eyed giant. Like the watchman, the child also wants to swing the lantern and move around with his shadow. He doesn't know how hard it is to not to sleep all night and keeping a watch in a lonely street. Therefore, the child wants to be a hawker, a gardener, a watchman, so that he could do all the things that they do. Being a child, he is unable to do these things. Therefore, all these activities attract him and arouse his curiosity. Poetic devices used in this poem are: first is repetition. We can see the repetition of the same line in stanza 1, and the line is Bengals, crystal bangles. Second poetic device is imagery, and example of imagery is the line the lane is dark and lonely. Next poetic device is simile, and we can see the simile in the line lamb stands like a giant with one red eye, because there is the use of like, and it is the example of direct comparison. I hope you understood the poem very well. Thank you. Have a nice day.